2 years of work experience. After that, he resigned it and took the coaching at VisionIAS, a complete classroom coaching. Thereafter, he cracked the exam in his first attempt. So here we have Aman Tiwari sir, Samsung, and with 2 years of work experience. After that, he resigned it and took the coaching at VisionIAS, a complete classroom coaching. Thereafter, he cracked the exam in his first attempt. So here we have Aman Tiwari sir. Give him a big round of applause. Samsung, and with 2 years of work experience. After that, he resigned it and took the coaching at VisionIAS, a complete classroom coaching. Thereafter, he cracked the exam in his first attempt. So here we have Aman Tiwari sir. Give him a big round of applause. I here hand over the dais to thee, sir.
Am I audible to everyone? First of all, thank you everyone. I would like to first introduce myself, as ma'am has already done. So my name is Aman. I was born in Lucknow, then did my schooling mostly in Lucknow. Then went to IIT, BTech Electrical Engineering. I worked then abroad for 2 years in Samsung. Then I resigned somewhere in 2023, June. I started my preparations and fortunately I was able to crack it in the first attempt. And much of my inspiration actually came from one of the previous toppers. I guess you have heard the name. It's Spanish Katari. He was AIR1 in I think CSE 2018. So following his model only, I also worked. First of all, before starting this session, I would like to know, is there any one of you who is not familiar with the process of UPSC or how is the exam, how does the CSE exam goes? Then I guess everyone. So we can skip the basic formalities about the exam. Okay. So first of all, let me tell you one thing that since I have cracked it in the first attempt, so in terms of experience, if you ask, honestly, people who have given their 2-3 attempts, 2-3 years, 4 years, they will have much more experience than me. So in terms of experience, I don't think I will be able to share with you anything more than what they can share. In fact, if you see VisionIAS every year organizes almost so many topper talks, you can hear to people from diverse backgrounds and so much. But yes, one thing that I can tell you is how can you do things efficiently so that you are able to crack the exam as soon as possible. Also, I would like to tell you that my optional was mathematics, and your optional can be very different from what mine was. And one of the reasons for cracking it quickly was that I was able to, I think so, because the marks are still not out. I think so I was able to score good marks in mathematics. That's why. So the strategy that I will tell you might be that you can use some elements, but please modify it as you will and incorporate the strategies of other people also so that it's best for your results. Before we start this session, I think it would be better if you people might be having some doubts, some preconceived notions about what the exam is, or how do we need to study, or what we need to focus on. So I guess for quick 5 to 10 minutes, we can firstly take some questions. If anyone has preconceived notions, does anyone have any question regarding this? Okay, so I don't see anyone right now. So, okay, let's start with the session, and then we can take the question and answers as you like it. So, as I told you, when I came back into India in June 2023, I came back, and before that I had a faint idea of the exam. So the 3 stages, prelims, mains, interview, and all that is required. Most of it was acquired from some of the blogs that toppers have written, or some of the news items that you will see from the toppers. But it was not totally that I started everything from scratch in 2023 June only. The planning began much earlier. So, what optional to choose, and then what you can say, how to the sources of studies, everything. So, those were things that I acquired much before I started the preparation. So, the first question.
Okay. Choose your optional based on how much you think you will be able to score in it. Okay, because it's your score that once you clear the exam, then you can study whatever optional you like. You like English literature a lot, please be my guest, study English literature. But once you clear this exam, because that's the main idea, you have an interest in English literature, you have a interest in your regional literature, that is okay. But kindly check once what has been the scores of different toppers in different subjects, what has been the trend, because many of the optionals don't reward you a lot. So there are very few optionals that have consistency when what you can say in scoring. So I guess it's somewhat in the range of anthropology or sociology or PSIR. So those are optionals which have a lot of scoring, what one can say, scope. And when you have seen all these trends, then look at the previous year questions, because any topper will tell you that previous year questions are always the key in the UPSC CSE. So look at what questions have been asked. Are you able to make sense of these questions? Or do you have the slightest idea? Are you able to get that what some particular questions are asking? Okay, because writing 20 questions in just 3 hours is difficult, be it for GS or be it for your optional. So you have to write those questions, and you will be able to write them only when you have a good idea of what you are studying. Okay, so look at the optionals which have been scoring a lot, which are aligning with your background, with your graduation subjects, or with your interests. Take all these 3 parameters or criteria, and then finally decide which optional you want. Okay, don't just say that, okay, my friend is taking this optional, let me take this and let me try. Because once you take an optional, changing it and then giving the exam is very difficult. Okay, so why I took mathematics? Because all my life what I've been doing is studying science. I cracked the JEE also, and in fact my graduation was electrical, which is very close to mathematics. Now I could have selected electrical also as my optional, but I didn't do so because a lot of concepts in electrical are not taught to us in college, which are actually asked in exam. It is a theoretical subject to some extent, not entirely numerical. So keeping that in mind, I chose mathematics because it's almost, there is no theory. It's fully practical. There are concepts you need to understand, but many of the overlapping concepts were there between electrical and between mathematics. And also maths is a high scoring optional, as you all know. Many of the people who have cracked the exam with top ranks, they have chosen mathematics. So keeping all these criteria in mind, I finally settled. And this was very much decided pretty earlier only. In Jan 2023, I decided that when I'll resign from my company, I'll start with this optional. Now, also with respect to the sources and all. So the basic sources like NCRT and all, you all, it's no need for me to tell you that NCRT is almost very essential, especially in the prelims also. NCRTs and all was something that I studied before only, because you have PDFs, they are easily available. So I studied them while I was abroad only. Like when I used to come home from my office, I used to study them for some time. So some pre-preparation, you would say, I had before I fully resigned and fully committed myself to this exam. And after I resigned, I dedicated myself fully. Now, what do you mean by dedicating yourself fully to this exam? See, UPSC exam is like a full-time job, and a full-time job that you will see any person, any daily wage laborer who is doing full-time job, almost 12 to 14 hours a day, that you will be doing. It's no easy task. Okay. So you can't just say that, okay, let me study for 2, 3 hours today, or let me go for an outing today because my all friends are going here, and it will be good relaxing period for my mind. See, uh, if you are in here for the long run, please relax all you want, and you can take as much time. But my philosophy is a little different. When I before even I began for this exam, I had set an attempt limit, maximum 2, not more than that. If I don't achieve my goal in these 2 years, I will move on, because this exam then keeps on dragging you. No disrespect to any of the toppers who has qualified in third or fourth attempt, but this is my personal philosophy. Your philosophy could be different, your economic background could be different, your social background could be different. I mean, think about a person who is earning almost 3 to 4 lakhs per annum. For him, cracking UPSC is like jumping to some 14, 15 lakhs per annum, just like that. So for him, giving 4 or 5 attempts makes total sense. But for me, it did not make a lot of sense. So that's why I decided to maximum attempts, and then I will move away. So if you are capable enough, if you think that you will be able to do other things in life also, if you don't get UPSC, then I would highly recommend you to put some sort of attempt limit, because then after 2 or 3 attempts, I believe it keeps on dragging you. Then you see others pass, and then you feel demotivated and all. So keep that in mind, I would say. And because I had already set this very tight limit, so I knew that I had to sacrifice a lot of things. So first of all, it's no introduction I would be giving to you, or new thing I would be telling you if I'm saying that you have to quit social media. So as soon as I came back home, I deactivated my Instagram account. I uninstalled all the apps that I could possibly have used, and because even if you use social media for news, I sometimes think it does not make a lot of sense. People use like platforms like Reddit, or now Twitter, which is now X, for news also, because many people put news there. But all the news or all the important items that are coming there will definitely come in your newspapers the next day, right? So make newspapers your friends, not social media. You have to sacrifice this for almost 17, 18 months if you want to crack it in the first attempt. And yes, by this I also mean to say that it requires a lot of motivation, consistent motivation, I would say. Not just you stick a photo of Labasna today and then you forget about it. Many people might be having this photo of Labasna, or photo of your some India map will be lying here and there. So don't just forget about it, right? You have to consistently look at it and think that if I have to go here, I have to be a consistent performer for the next 18 months. Okay. 1 year of your preparation and almost 6 to 7 months of exam cycle, starting from prelims. So you have to be consistent there. Okay. And minimize your friend circle as much as possible. Okay. Only those friends who are preparing along with you, keep them only. I mean, and I'm not saying that go into a cave or something like that, but yes, you can reduce your frequency of outings, or like personally, I used to talk with my friend once a month. So we used to schedule a call, and we used to have a nice little banter chatting, and that was all for the 17, 18 months I was preparing. So it requires some great sacrifices that you have to make. There's no hiding that particular truth. Other than this, what I can say is, yes, then comes how to prepare simultaneously for your GS and your optional. Because if time is limited, you have to do both. So what I personally used to do, in fact, this is where a lot of contribution from Vision also came in. In fact, searching for coachings and everything, everyone does here. I was also doing the same when I was there abroad, sitting there. And I wanted online coaching. Reason being two, first of all, my father has a transferable job, so it is difficult for me to stay at one location. And second, online coaching personally for me provides a lot of convenience because I have a nuclear family, it's not a joint family. So I can get relative silence, plus my food and other necessities are taken care of. So again, it's up to the person what kind of thing they want. If they have a joint family, if they are living in rural areas, obviously they will go to metropolis in order to gain the study. So I wanted online coaching, and I saw many coachings. First of all, there's I think Vajiram and VisionIAS and Next IAS, and there were many other coachings. But what I got feedback from some of the earlier toppers who had cleared, or some of my earlier friends who had cleared, was that Vision has a very good online infrastructure. So the classes are organized in a very good manner. The web portals that they use are very refined and very good. And in fact, when I started doing this, it was really a very good experience. So let's say I will give you a simple example. So things like evaluation of copies. If you are writing mains, or if you are, let's say, writing your daily assignments, which Vision gives you, you write your assignments, you upload them, and those assignments used to come check within 2 to 3 days. It was very, I think only one or two time it happened that due to backlogs they had to shift the assignment checking, like after 6-7 days it came, but it used to come very quickly. The evaluations were comprehensive and all those things. So that is where Vision helped me a lot. And again, the GS coaching, that helped me. Why? Because many of the concepts got cleared in the class itself. In fact, a student like me who is consistently has been studying science, it's difficult to immediately switch to things like art and culture, things like geography, things like history. But yeah, the class itself covered most of the things. So that was very good for me, I would say. And I had dedicated times for the two things. So let's say I get up in the morning. The first of all was newspaper. Now, which newspaper? Again, if you are giving exam in your regional medium, then any popular regional newspaper. But I think most of you would be giving it in English. So the first newspaper I would say the Hindu. Although very depressing, it's very important. Because there are many important people who give editorial in the Hindu. Like I could name a few, like C. Rangarajan. He used to be a former finance commission member. So, brilliant articles on economy come from C. Rangarajan. Then M.K. Narayanan. He has been a former national security advisor. Beautiful articles by M.K. Narayanan. The point that I'm trying to say is there are certain good authors who write a very balanced perspective, because Hindu is well known for writing articles that are critical to the government. So you all the time you get a lot of points on how to criticize certain things, but how to appreciate certain things or how to build a nuanced perspective, you have to search for important authors, right? So for that, I thought M.K. Narayanan, C. Rangarajan, and apart from that, I'm not remembering the name, but there is one economist from IIT Delhi also who writes regularly in Hindu. So Hindu plus the explain page on Hindu, very beautiful explain page. All the concepts there are explained there. And also, not just reading editorials like it's your daily book. Don't read it like that. I mean, if you are reading it, good, but try to take certain points. So if you find a very beautiful point, like I would give an example. Once there was an article written by Shashi Tharoor. First of all, it requires a great deal of intellectual exercise to read that article. His English is phenomenal. But that article contained two very beautiful points about how can we improve parliamentary proceedings in the country. So it carried two concepts like question hour and PM's question hour and opposition week. These two concepts are practiced in Britain. And in all the standard textbook that I read, I never got these points about practices that are then done in other countries. So I incorporated them in my answers. I immediately took note of them in my notes that I had built. Because every one of you will be making notes here and there. What I would suggest is that when you make notes, keep certain space aside. On every page, leave a certain margin and then make your notes. So let's say tomorrow, if you encounter a news article that has a very brilliant piece of information, you can immediately put it there, right? So when you are revising, you will immediately get your important pieces of information from there. So take notes from editorial, take note from explained, and yes. So sorry, I got deviated. So first was the Hindu, and other than that, if you have time left, because for me, paper took almost 2 hours of my time every day. So after you have time, if you have time left, the Indian Express. The Indian Express also has certain good authors that you can read. For example, one is Ashok Gulati. He writes beautiful articles on agri marketing, and one of them is C. Raja Mohan. Beautiful articles on foreign policy and its nuanced perspectives. Then you have very brilliant MPs that are writing in Indian Express. You have Derek O'Brien, who gives very important vital statistics. You have P. Chidambaram, who writes every Sunday. So all these are very beautiful authors, and you should definitely go through them. So if any article contains the name of Ashok Gulati, please go through it. It will give you a very balanced perspective on what can be done to improve agri marketing, and you can directly use them in GS paper 3, right, for your means. So these two papers I used to rely on. Hindu I used to read thoroughly. Indian Express I used to read mostly editorials and explained. You can do reverse also. You read Indian Express thoroughly or Hindu explained, because time is less, so you have to prioritize certain things. And again, many of the places you will see news about politics and all, so try to skim over that, right? Just read the headline. If you find it relevant, read it. If you don't, just skip it, because you will easily recognize any political news that is there. My advice on reading newspapers, I would say, would be to read certain pieces of articles. I don't know in which page they occur, but they occur by the name of Spotlight usually. Somewhere on the third, fourth page they usually occur. They actually give you a lot of information about what is happening on the ground. So you can read a lot about how there is digital divide in the country, or the schemes, the beneficiaries, there is duplication of beneficiaries, or the schemes are actually not reaching to the people. But that particular area in the paper actually gives you real life examples. So, for example, one example I would say is there was a piece of article in Indian Express, and it talked about how the district administration in one of the districts in Uttarakhand did a very great job to ensure women's safety. Okay? The commission, they formed a women-only commission, went to different colleges, girls' schools, girls' colleges there, and took their suggestions. So don't worry about that you are not able to note down certain things and everything. Just make sure that you are giving sufficient time and able to finish papers somewhat in 2 hours or something like that by the time you are nearing your prelims or mains. Then post reading newspapers, my batch was in the morning, so I used to had my classes mostly. Because what I learnt in class, I immediately remembered it. And exam was near, so it was not like I had to revise 10 times. I was studying it in class and writing it down at the same time. So it was like imprinted in my mind, whatever was being taught. It was fresh in my mind. Especially ethics and society, which don't occur in prelims, but definitely occur in mains. So that was good for me. Then after like reading newspapers, then my classes, then I used to study GS during the afternoon. After lunch, I used to study GS. Then in the evening, from evening, my time for my optional started. So I gave almost in the beginning, when I started preparing my optional, I used to give almost 6 hours to my optional every day, because it was mathematics. It's a bulky optional. So I used to give 6 hours every day, and I had defined timelines. So like there are 14 topics in the syllabus, then each and every topic will be covered in these many days. So let's say differential equations will be covered in, let's say, 1 month, or linear algebra will be covered in 15 days, something like this. So I had defined timelines. For me, I got these timelines from Kanish Kataria. He had a very beautiful blog. I read how he prepared and I copied that same thing. For you, if you are studying PSIR or anthropology, sociology, I believe there will be multiple toppers who will give you very good timelines on how you can cover the syllabus. So please follow them, because those are tried and tested things. You don't have to continuously innovate upon that. Right? Covering your syllabus is one thing that you can easily copy from your toppers. How did they cover the syllabus in a given amount of time? Let's say 6 months or 7 months. Because these days, prelims is difficult, and prelims is not like you can prepare for 1 month and then appear in prelims and everything will be okay. You have to give, I think, from, let's say, February, you need to start dedicated study for prelims. So try to finish your optional before February at least, or till January. Try to finish it as much as possible. And even if you have not finished it, it's okay. Just try to leave it there, and then after means try to finish it in the 15-20 days when your results have not come in. So that particular time will keep you busy also, because your optional is not finished, so you will finish it at that point of time. Yes, so this used to be my day cycle: the papers, the classes, then GS, and then used to be the optional. And this initially it used to be, I used to study for, let's say, 8 to 9 hours, but gradually, as and when the exam approached, it increased to roughly 12 to 14 hours per day. And yes, there will be times when you will feel a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, self-doubt, frustration. Everything is a part of the package. So for that, I would say that if you are preparing online, talk to your parents, right? Spend some time with them, right? They will help you in relaxing in all these moments. Especially my parents helped me a lot. So in evening, when we used to have tea together, I used to discuss various topics with them. So let's say if there is a debate on UCC happening, so I used to discuss with them UCC, like why shouldn't it be applied in India, or why should it be applied to India. Sometimes it gave me very good points from common man's perspective also. And if you have friends, try to discuss these things with your friends, just in order to relax or wind down a little. And then I think we should move on to how to prepare for each and every segment of the exam, like the prelims or the mains or the interview. So this was a generic study that I did for the initial first 6 to 7 months, starting from June 23 to let's say January 24. Now post January, February 24, now prelims is in May. Every year it used to happen in May. This 24, this got delayed by 15 days because of the elections, but generally prelims happens in May. So February, March, April, you have 3 months for prelims dedicated. So for prelims, again, there's nothing extraordinary that you need to do in order to clear the prelims. It's just that prelims is more focused upon facts. Concepts are involved, but facts generally take the precedence, especially if you have seen the 2023 paper. In fact, there was a very good question on credit rating agencies, if you have noticed that question. That question, the first two were concepts, the third was a fact, statements. 3 statements where you have to tell only 1, only 2, only 3. So 2 were concepts, third was Brickworks Ratings is a Indian credit rating agency. So that is a fact. So prelims is fact based, there is no denying it. But what facts to study? See, if there is an important concept, right? Like right now, if you see just the news of yesterday, the Indus Water Treaty was suspended by the Indian government following the unfortunate incident at Pahalgam. Now, Indus Water Treaty is something which will be covered thoroughly in news. Each and every paper, each and every news will cover this particular concept. Now you have to study it in detail. Like who is the moderator of this particular treaty, right? Or when was this particular treaty signed? what is the exact provisions of this treaty, like which 3 tributaries will be given to Pakistan, which 3 tributaries will be given to India. So you have to study all these things in detail, whichever comes in news dedicatedly, or the common media, as one would say, whichever thing is covered in common media. You have to study it in detail. But now there are certain things which are not covered in common media, but you will read it in Hindu. So many things. For example, a new species is discovered, or a kind of disease is becoming a epidemic in some particular area, like in Africa, or mpox. So just remember, mpox is caused by, I think it's caused by a virus. I'm not sure right now, but it's caused by a virus, and whether there is a vaccine or not. Some basic points. So you have to divide the facts yourself. In fact, the PT 365 that you will see from Vision, in fact, I did the classes also. PT 365 does this. So the important concepts are covered thoroughly in detail. You will see 3.1, section 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. Then there will be a last section, other important news. So other important news is covered in small details. So you can just follow that particular pattern, right? That will be enough for prelims, I think. So in my opinion, current affairs, related to only current affairs I'm talking about. For current affairs, divide your topics like this, right? And many of the important topics, now how do you identify some of the important topics? Those are covered in static areas. Like RBI cut the repo rate. So now Monetary Policy Committee, study it in a little detail. Like who are the members of the Monetary Policy Committee, after what time of interval is Monetary Policy Committee meets, and how is it constituted. So these important things, this important static concepts, study them in detail, study some of these things in detail, right? So this was regarding current affairs. Then comes your static portion. Static portion again becomes very important, because in prelims, the one thing that can fetch you very good marks is your static portion. And static, if you have command over your static portion, then you will be confident in answering some questions. See, one big problem in prelims is that when you answer your questions, you are sometimes doubtful whether I have answered it correctly or not. And that will waste your time on a question which you know, but having self-doubt on. Then you will not be able to give time on those questions which you don't know, and you have to apply certain logic. So have command over your static portions, and you have to revise them multiple times. The teachers will teach you and you will make notes, but don't just let those notes lie somewhere in your corner of your cupboard. Revise them thoroughly. So many of the toppers, if you see, in fact, I also saw many of the toppers, they gave advice that in the first iteration, when you make notes, they are bulky in nature. In the second iteration, try to shorten them. In third iteration, try to shorten them even more. So that you can do. If you feel like that, you can do it. I personally did not do it. Why? Because I am able to remember things much better. So that is why I used to know the important points, and my revision also took place very easily in that manner. So I did not make 2 or 3 copies of notes. My only copy of note was my original notes. But again, this is something which you can modify based upon what your memorization power is, and how well you are able to read from your original notes. So yes. So now you have made your notes, you have revised your static. Now the question comes is, how do you attempt the prelims exam? First of all, there is nothing again new to be told here, that attempt mock tests. Please go and give mock tests. Even if you are afraid that you don't know, give mock tests. Mock tests provide you the ability to sit for 2 hours in prelims. And even if you don't know the first 5 questions in the exam, you still don't panic. That you can get only through mock test, when you actually go there and sit in the exam. In fact, Vision has a very beautiful program also, the Abhyas tests, which actually provide you with an offline center, and you go there dedicated to the tests, you circle the OMR, get the real experience. And experience actual exam also is pretty much same. So when you give these tests, you will get used to the exam. So on the final day when you go and give your prelims, it will not be something that out of the blue something has appeared and now you don't know what to do. You are looking at the first question you don't know, second question don't know, third question don't know, and now your whole paper is ruined because you panicked. So giving these tests will help you in not panicking during the exam. After that, in prelims, how to attempt the questions? My personal strategy is I do the questions in two full readings. So my first full reading happens in roughly, I would say 60 plus 15. So roughly 75 minutes, I would say. So what I do is that whenever I am attempting a question, so let's say if I know, so most type of questions are like 4 statements are given and you have to check if only one is correct, only 2. Last year they eased it a little bit. They now give 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, something like this. So if you know that particular question, what I used to do is that I used to tick mark it on the question paper and at the same time I used to circle it on the OMR sheet. Why? Because I don't want to self-doubt myself again in the next reading. Because once you have marked it in the OMR, now there is a part in your brain that knows now I can do nothing about this question. Right? So you try to move on. Okay, many people get stuck here. That was my strategy again. Your strategy can be different from it. You can hear to other toppers also what they did. This was what I did in my exams. I start reading the first question. Let's say I know 2 statements and I don't know about the other 2 statements. Then what I will do is that based upon the 2 statements that I know, I will try to eliminate options. So let's say I am able to eliminate C and D. Now I know this question has 50% probability. I will move on because I will do this in the second reading. So every question which has a 50% where I am able to eliminate 2 options, I will attempt it because now the probability of getting it right is 50%. But every question where I don't know anything, for example, a book, who has written this book? So now you have 4 options and you don't know. Nothing, you have never heard about that book. I will not attempt that question because only 25% probability is there of getting that particular question, right? So I used to do this in my first reading and generally I have observed in my case that by the first reading was over, I was able to finish around 35 odd questions because that is generally the number of questions that you know with certainty. Maximum at max 40, not more than that. Never I have observed in any of my mock tests that I have given. Then I started the second reading. Now I put logic in every question where I can, what I have learned in my past experiences or what I have done, what I have not done in my previous mock test. So let's say if there is any data point that I learned in the previous mock test. So now if I can apply it in this particular test, in this particular question, then I think so I might be able to eliminate one more option and get to my answer. So this is done in the second reading. So my first reading took around 75 minutes and the second reading took around 45 minutes. So overall you complete your exam in around 120 minutes. That is allotted. But for the mock test, you don't have to stop there. Once you come back home, check it with the answer sheet and now each and every question you can't read. Each and every question you can't remember. Let's say if I got this particular answer wrong, it's not necessary I will be able to remember it, or that is a very important question. Like a book, who has written this book? Now there are thousands of books. Somebody has written one or the other. It's not necessary to remember everything. But which type of question which I will focus on? The questions that I know were right, I attempted in my first reading, but I still got it wrong, which means there is a fundamental difference in the static thing that I learned. There is some fundamental defect there because my first reading was totally static. And my second reading, in my first reading, I got this question wrong. I was fully confident that this is the answer, but I could not get that right. So that is the question that I will now remember so that my concepts get okay. Those questions where the 50% probability was, I will again try to read those questions because now I will get to know. So overall point here is that you need to maximize your facts that you have in prelims ultimately, because it is a fact based. But which facts? Facts that you think you know, but you are wrong in that. That will be done in the first reading. And facts that you don't know or know only partially. So that second reading. Not every question needs to be remembered. Right? So this is how I used to attempt my prelims. And again, how many questions to attempt? This is also something which people ask. Again, dependent upon you, how you want to attempt your questions. If you are less confident in your answers, if you attempt 90 questions, that is also good. There is a chance that maybe 30 questions or 25 questions will be wrong, but you will still get a very good score. I personally did not do this. My strategy was I attempted limited number of questions. So in every exam I have observed, I attempt 70 questions. And in those 70 questions, I get almost 56 to 57 right. And that gives me a very good score. Why? Because I am confident that I have done this right. So there is very less error. So that is my strategy. But again, need not apply to you. You might not be confident in your answers. Do more questions. I was confident in my answers. I did less questions. It's not necessary. Ultimate goal is clear the prelims, overcome the cutoff. And this was the entire GS portion. CSAT. CSAT personally, I won't be able to add much to your knowledge because my background was mathematics. And my CSAT strategy was I did not even see the comprehension questions. I was confident in my math and maths. I completely went through math and maths. I did practice comprehension just to be on the safer side. I think 1 week before the exam, I solved 2-3 papers for comprehension. But that was enough for me. In exam also, I attempted hardly 3-4 questions of comprehension. But I was confident in my math, and that is why I followed this strategy. Again, many of you will not be from mathematics background, will find math and maths difficult. For those people, I would suggest solve as many questions as possible. So don't just be fearful of math and mathematics. See, math and mathematics cover 66% of the paper. The rest 33 is comprehension. So I can afford to leave comprehension because I have 66% knowledge with full confidence. But if you are underconfident in maths and mathematics, you cannot afford to leave that because comprehension is only 33%. You require only 33% to pass the exam. But are you confident that you will be able to do all the comprehension right? So that's why practice maths and math. I'm not saying keep on practicing it for the whole 1 year, but let's say 1 month before the exam, dedicated practice, dedicated 2 or 3 hours every day. I will do maths and math. Multiple mock tests are there, multiple books are there. You can practice from whichever book you want, whichever mock you want. Practice easy concepts first, which can be done easily. For example, filling series. Most of the questions are either adding successive numbers or dice rolling, where you can image things or mirror images. These are questions which are easy and which can easily give you numbers. So focus upon these or whichever topics you find easy. So that was your entire prelims. Now after prelims, generally for 15 days you don't know whether you have qualified, whether you have not qualified. Let's say you come, you check from various coaching institutes, you get a score, you are not clear whether you have qualified or not because you are at the borderline. So what to do in that particular time? I would say complete any part of the subject that is left. For example, you did your GS coaching, you were not able to complete, let's say, society, or let's say world history. Whatever is left, complete that in those 15 days. Because that particular portion, you have to listen to your teacher and write. That is what you will be doing mostly. And that will take your mind off. You don't have to actively apply your brain. Because when you are trying to actively read something, these thoughts will keep on coming in mind. I have qualified or not. What's the point of reading if I have not qualified this particular exam? So try to do those things which use less brain, which is listening to teachers and writing. Because that particular thing will not use your active brain. Or let's say your optional is left. So do some portion of your optional, listen to some of the lectures of your optional. So do those things in 15 days, but please don't waste them. Please don't sit thinking that I won't be qualified because I have scored less, and now there's no point in studying. For example, if you get qualified, then what? Right? So then people will say, I was not prepared for mains. So see, there is no particular time when you get prepared for mains. In fact, I told you, when my prelims got over, my ethics and society, I hadn't even started ethics and society. So I could have also said that I'm not prepared for mains. But that is not the way forward here. If you have to clear the exam, utilize each and every moment. Try to avoid wastage. That's what you have to do. So after the results, if you have qualified the prelims, very good. If you have not qualified, then analyze your shortcomings, and if you are ready to give the attempt next year, then start focusing upon that. After that, let's come to mains. Now mains is a entirely different game from prelims, because mains is not fact heavy, mains is concept heavy. There are total of 9 papers, 2 are qualifying and 2 are optional papers, which gives you with 5 papers where all of you compete at the same level. Optional is something which someone can score high in, but the 5 GS papers can help you. And even in those 5 GS papers, there are 2 papers where each and every person has a very high scope of scoring, essay and ethics. Because GS 1, 2, 3, if you see the topper scores, all lie in the same ballpark. 10 marks here, 10 marks there. Everyone is lying there, here and there only. There are very few toppers which score, let's say 125, 135. In fact, even I don't know my scores right now, but I'm pretty sure they will be somewhere around 100 only. Not much. But essay and ethics is something which you can focus upon a lot, right? Every essay is unique, and ethics involves a lot of concepts. If you are able to understand that, you will be able to focus it. You will be able to achieve or excel in mains with very good scores. The entire mains game, in my opinion, is just 3 important papers: essay, ethics, and optional. You crack all these things, you get a very high score in mains, and then you will not be very much worried about the interview, because again, interview is subjective depending upon what panel you get or whether you are nervous on that particular day. So mains, let's do each and every paper. Again, my experience is of limited, only 1 year. So what I will tell you might not necessarily be the most optimal manner to do things. You can listen to other toppers also. But I had my certain strategies to do things. So for example, GS paper 1, 2, 3. I will talk about first these 3 papers. GS paper 1 was history, art and culture, and geography. These 3 major things. Geography, my geography was pretty good, pretty strong. And in fact, here I would like to make a special mention to one of my teachers who taught me in the online class. His name was Rajesh Govindaraj. He is a teacher in Delhi Center of VisionIAS. I mean, excellent teaching. A person from science background with no prior experience, geography, last studied in 10th class, I was able to understand each and every concept at one go. And what the major ocean currents are, what the major local winds are, everything, the way he did it. He taught it usually on a world map. He used to draw a world map, a rough outline of world map, and then used to draw each and everything in geography. And this is what in fact you can also do for excelling in geography. Do things using maps. So, soils in India. 2 ways to cover soils in India. Red soil found in Deccan Plateau. And some parts of here, Madhya Pradesh, some parts of here in Chhattisgarh and all. Very good. But if you do it on a map, there are 2 benefits. You are able to visualize at the same time. You have an India map in your mind. You have an India map in your room also. You are able to visualize, and at the same time in exam, your speed will be high for drawing a map. That will fetch you extra marks. So that you can do. Where is laterite soil found in the country? Laterite soil is found generally in areas having high rainfall, right? So this will also help you in memorizing where high rainfall happens in the country. So all these things can be very easily done. Or let's say the major volcanoes. Volcanism, anytime UPSC can ask a question, it's a static concept. You can just draw a rough world map and draw the major volcanoes. Be it volcanoes in Indonesia, be it volcanoes in let's say Italy, be it volcanoes in North America, all of them, Japan, all of them you will be able to cover, and you will have a visual memory. Visual memory is generally much more stronger than your rote memory. Rote memory is important because this exam is all about facts most of the time. But visual memory will help you in fetching some extra marks because you will be able to draw that particular figure. And the examiner will also come to know that yes, you know at various locations what are the major things. So that is something that you can focus on for geography. But for history, history is fact-based, fact-heavy. Again, if you have memorization power, you can learn everything that is present in history. But rather than rote learning, I say it would be better to understand why anything is happening. So let's say if Jawaharlal Nehru was a socialist, then why was he a socialist? Because his active years were in an era when Great Depression was happening in the world. And Great Depression led to criticism of capitalism. And that is why he developed a strong socialist view. Now, this is something, when you understand these things, you don't have to rote learn them. Why this thing is happening, why that thing is happening, right? So try to connect it with world affairs, history. Try to connect it with world affairs and try to, what one can say, understand the reason behind things. If you are able to understand that, then the memorization part will come down a little. But again, I would say history is a very fact-heavy subject. You have to learn all the facts. And in fact, in prelims also history is very fact-heavy. Then I also already did geography. World history, personally, I did not study much because I did not have much time. And I knew world history has only 1 or 2 questions in exam. And I was prepared mentally that in case the worst happens, I would leave that particular question. But I would strengthen my other subjects. Again, because I was working in a time constraint, I did not study world history, but you can. It's not like I did not know what was happening, but again, detailed notes and then what were the reasons, impacts, consequences that you make in Indian history. That I did not do for world history due to time constraint. But again, I would never recommend you leave any subject, study all the subjects, all of them carry importance. Just do the weight cost benefit analysis. World history's importance has been going down. Again, no one can say tomorrow UPSC might give a paper has 4 questions of world history just like it did in 2013. No one knows. But again, cost benefit analysis is the key here. For history again, these days if you see ancient and medieval history has a lot of importance. Like even in this paper also in CSE 2024, they asked about the Pallavas and the Cholas. One in 10 marks question and one a 15 marks question. So study these events also very carefully. And for studying them, make a timeline. So let's say if not studying like the Cholas ruled the country from this particular century to that. So let's say if I ask you in 8th century, or let's say in the 9th century, which rulers were present in which part of the country, then you should be able to have an answer to that, right? In the 12th century, or rather I would say it would be 13th century when the Sultanate was present in the northern part of the Delhi. Which kingdoms were present in the southern part of the Delhi? Before Khilji came, there were Yadavas, Hoysals, and all. So if you do a map-based things, or again study history using maps, you will be able to remember better. After Khilji, the empire disintegrated, Bahmani, Vijayanagar came. So study using maps, history also, along with geography. So this was all about history, and there is no escaping the fact that we have to memorize it, some of the points. So it will require. But yes, visual mapping will help you a lot in the exam because you can draw also at the same time. Then comes your, this was ancient and medieval, and modern history. Modern history again important. This year only there was a question on Quit India movement. So modern history was, you can study in fact modern history is taught in much detail in any of the coachings you will see, in any of the lectures. Modern history has a dedicated weightage, and everybody studies modern history in good detail. So that I don't think will be much of an issue. Art and culture again, for me it was pretty difficult. Why? Because personally never I have been inclined towards culture or something. It's not like I don't celebrate festivals, but it's just that I've never studied them in great detail. Like Let's say there is a simple question in prelims on the regional theatres of the country. Again, this I also remembered using maps only. So in UP, I am from UP, so I knew there were things like Ras Leela, Ram Leela, all these things. But rest you can cover using map, right? Like in Maharashtra, there is a tamasha where there is a dance, a Lavani dance. Now, many of the films you will see, Lavani dance is very beautifully performed, right? So you can try to correlate from there. Try to find mappings of things in real life. If you relate things with real life, you will be able to remember it much better, right? So let's say which bhakti saint was preaching in Assam in bhakti. So it was Shankardev. Shankardev, you can remember it how? Because Assam has a dance known as Satariya dance, and Satariya dance was inspired by some of the dances that were created by Shankardev. Again, in Bengal, who was doing it? Bengal, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Again, have a map. Karnataka, from this side, you have Basavanna. Tamil Nadu, this side, you have Ramanujacharya. Punjab, Guru Nanak. Kabir, Uttar Pradesh. So, if you have a map, you will be able to remember multiple things. History, geography, art and culture, everywhere map will help you. And again, regarding things like music or dances of the country, that again has a lot to do with your memorization, because many of the aspects like Bharatnatyam, how many steps Bharatnatyam has, or how does it start, how does it end. This is something which I personally can't. If someone has an interest in dancing, they might be able to remember it very well. But I used to then memorize them. Again, no escaping there. And in GS paper 1, generally there is very less scope for addition of external data. So like in GS paper 2 and 3, you can very easily do value addition. GS paper 1, I personally found it difficult. Right? If you can find certain good information, you can take that, no problem. GS1 also has one very important component, society. Society, again, the importance has been continuously increasing. This year, almost how many? I think 4 and 4, almost 8 odd questions were there in society. And society is something which you cannot afford to ignore. In fact, I would personally say that it was my less attention paid to society that led to, I am very confident in this, that some of my marks, if they have decreased, it has been particularly because of society. Because question that was asked was something that you have to think on the spot. So now, one example of the question that I faced, it was that what are the problems that unmarried young women are facing. So now here you cannot immediately write dual burden, because dual burden is generally a characteristic of women who are married. They have to perform housework also. They have to go and perform the work in the companies also. But unmarried women, generally, dual burden is to an extent very less. So again, you have to think there on the spot. Unmarried women who are young, again, those who are falling in this demographic, most of the female aspirants, they will be easily able to write this question. But for male aspirants, again, this becomes a difficulty because you have to think according to their mind. So remember, if you have a sister there, think what difficulty she is facing. So try to relate everything with your real life, right? So some of the common difficulties is pressure for marriage. Again, there is the problem of safety of women. You saw the unfortunate incident that happened at RG. That's a very clear example of unmarried young women facing problems. So try to relate with your real life, because society is whatever is happening around you. So try to relate with that. Again, a question was on regional disparity this year only. Regional disparity, what is regional disparity? So many a times you hear north versus south every time. So one of the major components is economics. Regions in the north, where I come from personally, UP also. Again, UP has very less infrastructure development as compared to here only, Hyderabad. So try to again, whatever is happening in the news, try to correlate with that, right? You will get a much better, much comprehensive view. So this was all about, I think, paper 1. I don't think there's any other subject. History, geography, yes, this was all. Then coming to paper 2. Now paper 2 is something where you can improve your score a lot. Why? By data addition. Landmark judgment. So let's come to polity. Polity has landmark judgments of the Supreme Court. Polity has committees that have been from time to time. Polity has certain facts that you can use. So all these things, again, as I told you in editorial, Shashi Tharoor gave some important points on parliamentary proceedings. This is where you can do a lot of value addition. In fact, explained page in Hindu many of the times carries many important judgments. For example, I will give you a simple example. Right now, the case of governors, Supreme Court right now decided that governors have to do it in a timeline. But there is a preceding case also with respect to governors. It was Shamsher Singh case, somewhere I think in 1974. Again, Supreme Court said that governors have to act according to aid and advice. And there are multiple such cases. But where will you get to know about them? Through explained. Because it is happening currently, every paper will cover it along with precedents. So that will help you a lot. Here, value addition will fetch you more marks. So if your peer, if your person writing next to you is getting, let's say, 3 marks out of 10 in that particular question, you will get 4 or 4.5. And you know, 1.5 marks makes a huge difference. Your rank can slip from here to there in the entire list. So here value addition can help you a lot, especially in polity. Polity, again, you have to understand the concepts related with the current thing. There is center-state relations. Every year it is in news. Every year. Some other state is accusing the center of not giving funds, or the governors are stopping bills. Every year in news. So you have to study them. There are certain topics that you cannot afford to leave, like the Sarkaria Punchi Commission, 2 golden commissions when it comes to the center-state relations, and 73rd, 74th Amendment, right? In fact, how do you add data? Recently, there was an article in Hindu. It talked about devolution index. Recently released report by Government of India. Devolution index was all about how much 73rd, 74th Amendment has been implemented in the Constitution. So take that particular data point, for example. Which state has done beautifully in 73rd Amendment devolution? I think it is one of the southern states, I think Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. So you will get that data, and when you write that, that will give an added emphasis to your answer. The examiner will come to know that yes, you have done your study thoroughly. 73rd, 74th Amendment is important. Apart from that, your center-state relations, and then many other topics. In fact, not just fundamental rights. You should have a grasp on all the cases that have been done. Right? Article 21. Article 21 in itself can be a question. 15 marker. Easily. There are so many cases related to it, be it from emergency medical aid or right to die with dignity, right to live with dignity, and whatnot. So, if you remember, again, here also I am saying remember. Why remember? Because exam is again fact heavy. People might say that it is concept and means is okay, it's do like this. But again, if you don't remember these facts, you will score average marks. How to improve these marks? By memorizing this. So, again, you have to focus upon that. Then IR, international relations, is perhaps one of the subjects that is consistently in news and has a dedicated page. In fact, if you read in newspapers, world page, you will dedicate it every time you will come to know. And which countries to focus upon? I would have loved to say that countries which are in news like India, Pakistan, you could focus upon today, this year, or last year. India, Bangladesh was the talking point because the government was deposed. But unfortunately, in the exam, the region that came was something which I did not find in news. It was Central Asia. And this is one region which people usually ignore because it was not in news at all. Modi ji had visited America, you have India-America relations. Then Mauritius, you have India neighborhood relations. All these things. But Central Asia, there was a simple question. And again, I was not able to write an answer that satisfied me. I wrote something here and there, some of the initiatives, but so try to focus upon all the regions, not just those in news, because UPSC might do this. They might think that children will not be focusing upon this particular region because it is not in news. They might ask easily. So think about that also. International relations, you have to be aware about the current developments. They are constantly changing at a very fast pace, right? New treaties are being signed, like India EU FTA talks are going on, India UK FTA talks are going on, and it's expected they might sign a FTA. Then you have to mention that FTA if India EU relation is asked. So be continuously, be thorough with your international relations, right? Papers are important here, very, very important. Social justice again very much coincides with society only. So that will benefit you. So focus upon social justice, again a topic which I was not able to prepare in full detail, because society in itself, I started post prelims, so maybe that was my weak area. But again, you cannot afford to ignore that particular, any topic cannot be ignored. The only thing which I would say is very close to ignoring would be world history. But again, it's UPSC, it's unpredictable. So be on the safer side, don't ignore any topic. Then I think these three topics: governance is just an extension of quality. You have certain concepts are important, like you need to know the uh, I think the Sevottam model, and then you need to know all things about RTI, then you need to know about e-governance, good governance, and then there is a civil services capacity building program, mission Karmyogi. All these are trending topics, and you will find very good material. For this, I solely relied on Vision book of governance. I think it's one book, and you can get all your things in detail from there. So no other sources I considered personally for governance. Now, post governance, we come to GS3. GS3 is about economy. It's about then security, internal security. It's about science and tech. Now, one thing that I feel is that people who are not from science background, they get overwhelmed in science and tech, right? And many a times UPSC has asked questions which are overwhelming. So I distinctly remember in 2018, I was listening to an reading a blog post of Kanish. So in I think 2018 paper, they asked a question on Bose-Einstein state. Now, even we in science don't study Bose-Einstein state so easily. Engineering, only one particular branch of physics studies Bose-Einstein state. So those questions you have to leave, or write whatever small knowledge you have. If you have one or two paragraphs of knowledge, just write it, because science is very broad. You cannot cover everything, right? But do keep track of the major things that are happening. That will be very much beneficial in prelims. So, like recently there was a news on K2 18b. This was a exoplanet which has signs of biotic life. So keep those things in mind. Again, all of everything you will get from newspapers only. Again, some important discoveries that is taken place. Nobel prizes in itself become important, not just for prelims but mains also. Nobel prizes or India's important missions, like 2023 paper. Chandrayaan happened in August, came in September in the paper. So again, any important mission. For example, this for 2025, I think NISAR might come, because NISAR is expected to launch somewhere in June or July. So keep those important missions in mind, space missions. And in biotechnology, again, the scope is very vast and a lot of things are happening, and concepts are also difficult, DNA and RNA and whatever concepts are there. Understand what you can understand, but don't try to again dig everything in detail, because you will feel overwhelmed if you are not from science background. So their selection might do the job in science and technology. Focus upon the space missions, focus upon, let's say, right now AI. Everywhere you see AI. And in fact, in 2024, you have Nobel Prize in AI. Right? In physics, the Nobel Prize was given to Geoffrey Hinton, one of the pioneers of AI. So try to learn something about AI, some basic information about what it is, and just basics. See, in exam, you know science and tech is something, even if you read in detail, you will read for, let's say, 2 or 3 months continuously science and tech, and then also your answer might not impress the person who is checking the copy. So that is why keep it to a minimum, so that you are able to write a 150 or 250 word answer, nothing more than that. Don't try to become a scientist here. Even I did not study a lot in science and technology, partially because some things I know and some things I can extrapolate from the information that I've heard somewhere in, let's say, my 12th, in my 11th. But for you, again, it might feel overwhelming if you're not from a science background. Out of interest, if you want to study, please go ahead in that. After science, then we can talk about economy. Economy, again, a major chunk of paper, GS3. Again, economy, you can easily grab numbers. How? By mentioning committees. And here data plays an important role. How many people in India are informal laborers? How much MSMEs of the India contribute to exports? How much MSME of the India contribute to GDP? How much of the percentage of India's GDP is currently manufacturing? These are information that should be there on your tips. Note them. They come in paper almost each and every day. Again, things that are coming every month, like every month CPI reading comes. Study in detail about CPI. It might help you in prelims. Every month, core of index industries comes. Study about in detail, might help you in prelims. So things that are repeating continuously every month, study them in detail. And you will find that some or the other question might come from there, right? And economy in itself is a concept. You have to understand economics, important. For me, again, and yes, before I even go on further, most of the subjects that I'm talking about, my primary source was the notes only. So it was not that I was taking 3 or 4 coachings at the same time. Most of the things was notes. And if there is certain concept that is asked in the mock tests that I give, I used to study it from the answer sheet. So if let's say mission Karm Yogi is let's say asked and I was not aware of that particular mission, I then studied it fully from the answer sheet. So that you can do. But notes is something that I focused upon, and mains 365. When you are closer to mains, vision releases mains 365. I read that particular fully, attended the classes also. So yes, we were discussing economy. Remember facts and figures. Remember various things that the government is doing. Like today, in I think 2024 GS3, a question was asked on food inflation. Why so much food inflation is happening in the country? Because food inflation is something that is continuously in news. It was persistently high. So things that you are seeing that are continuously in news, try to study them, right? So that will help you a lot in economy. Post economy, we have discussed and agriculture. Again, here syllabus plays an important role in GS2 and 3 because syllabus mentions each and every point in detail. Economy you will get buffer stocks, you will get public distribution system, indirect and direct subsidies. All the things are mentioned in detail in syllabus. So each and every point in syllabus, read it and make notes on it because UPSC might ask it. Infrastructure, there is a dedicated topic of infrastructure. So if you are not studying PPP right now, public private infrastructure, then obviously you are losing out on marks that could have easily been gained. So study the syllabus thoroughly, especially in GS2 and 3. This agriculture, again, agri marketing. So for example, the farmers protest was going on. Why was it going on? What is the demand for MSP? Can we do it? Can we not do it? Again, balance your answer. Don't just write no government is torturing the farmers, government is not giving MSP, it's bad. No, you have to balance both sides. We have to look at the fiscal deficit also. We have to look at our budget also. So balance both sides in the answer, right? Economy done, science and technology. Internal security, again, I focused mostly on the notes that was given to me, and news also. For example, you must have been seeing there have been a lot of Naxalist killings in the recent days, and the Home Minister has taken a pledge to remove Naxalism by March 2026. So focus upon Naxalism. UPSC might ask you. Money laundering, persistent concern. Some or the other party is always involved in it. Study that, money laundering. And again, in exam, keep in mind, don't mention any political figures. Don't mention the names of any political figures. You have to, for example, if you want to mention that a parliamentarian was recently caught in this particular case, if a case has happened, or a national party was involved in this particular case, that's okay. But don't mention name of any particular politician, of any particular party. You don't have to mention it. You have to be neutral, sound as neutral, right? There's some very important fugitive who has done a particular money laundering case, or some very important like Panama Papers. You can mention Panama Papers for tax evasion and money laundering and all. So these things you can mention, but don't mention name of any political party or any political personality. Except in positive sense. So in positive sense, not current, historical leaders. So if you want to mention the any step that was taken by first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, you can mention it with name also, but historical figures, not present personalities. So this was for internal security and ethics. Ethics is now something which is completely different from GS 1 to 3. Ethics, in fact, was something which I covered thoroughly after my prelims was over. So ethics is divided into two basic parts. In fact, I would say three basic parts. The first part is all about ethical concepts. The second part is about application of those concepts in civil services. And the third part is about case studies. Now, the first two parts, if you are thorough with it, you will be automatically good in third one, because that is just the application of what you learned here in the case studies. Again, all the concepts for me, I personally looked into the notes that was made by the teachers. Apart from this, I took one or two test series also dedicated to ethics, because this is one area where you can improve your marks, where all of you are at the same level, irrespective of whatever background you are. Right? Ethics is personal. So all of you are at the same level. So that is why I dedicated, and it's 250 marks. It's not a joke. So I took a separate test series also for ethics in order to dedicate it. We have a dedicated preparation for it. But for ethics also, in fact, even if I try to give you what to do, what not to do, again, it won't be very helpful, because my preparation for ethics is just 2 or 3 months, whereas some of the other toppers might have spent years preparing ethics. So they might give you a much better opinion on ethics. For me personally, I would say I remembered the important quotes. Quotes are important. I maintained a separate book for quotes. So any important quote I encountered, I immediately wrote that quote in that book. And short, you can say slogans or whatever, like Yato Dharmastato Jaya. It's a quote of Supreme Court, right? Satyamev Jayate, national emblem of India, you will find that particular quote. Or simple quotes like service to God is service to mankind. Service to mankind is service to God. So all these quotes you can remember. And make a separate book so that you can continuously revise them and continuously become proficient in those particular quotes. Because if you end your answers with these quotes, end your answers with a concept by a specific personality, that will help you gain extra marks. And case studies, again, the content is okay, but your introduction and conclusion should be good. So introduction, try to introduce with the concept some famous saying, if you remember, some important philosopher, if he is, you can mention him. And ending you can always do with another important quote, or if you want to end, you can end why a particular course of action you have taken. So because Kantian ethics dictates you to do so, or because Mill's utilitarianism tells you that this should be done, right? So there are multiple authors you can span. And you can study a lot of authors if you give enough time to ethics. So that was from my side for ethics. And with respect to answer writing, the only thing is that you should practice, write as much as you can. Initially start with, let's say, I'll do 5 questions in 30 minutes, 5-10 markers in 30 minutes. Then gradually keep on increasing. I will do required amount of questions, let's say 10 questions in 1 hour, and then keep on increasing till you reach 3 hours. Because if you are starting, then it will be difficult to sit for 3 hours at once and then write. So start with half an hour, then 1 hour, then 2 hours, then 3 hours. This is what I did. Initially I had a separate copy where I used to write answers. So I used to select 5 questions, write those questions, leaving the required space, and then used to write the answers by timing myself. So timing yourself is important. Keep a clock with you always. So that clock will help you in exams also. And in fact, it will build a mental clock within you. So not every time you'll have to look at your clock and then write. You will immediately know now the time is over, immediately conclude your answer and move on. Right? Because this will help you in finishing your questions. Many of the papers you might not be able to reach questions. You will be doing only, let's say, 17 questions or 16 questions, and you will immediately lose marks there. So try to finish your questions, 20 questions. And if you cannot, then try to improve the quality of your answers. Right? Because ultimately marks is quality into the number that you have attempted. So if you can improve your quality, if you can cite very beautiful data, if you can conclude very effectively, then okay, you can do 18 or 19 questions. But if you are writing average answers, then do all the 20 questions. Me personally, my answer writing practice was not complete. That's why in fact, even this year I have left some of the questions. I was not able to fully complete all the questions in all the papers. Many of the toppers will tell you that question completing is important, but I was not able to do so. Again, time constraint mostly. I was not able to hone my answer writing skills to the level that was required. And what is left is essay. Essay is a combination of two papers, ethics and society. You combine these two, you have all the material that is required for essay. Just follow the proper pattern in essay, right? And any of the teachers, like for me, I watched one of the lectures of one of the teacher. I think her name is Smriti Shah. She again teaches in VisionIAS Delhi. I watched one of her lectures. It's 3 hours long. She talks everything about essay. It was an open session. So how do you structure your essay? What do you mean by dimensions? Now, dimension is not like you write 6-7 examples, those are 6-7 dimensions. No, dimensions is about how you approach that particular topic with different angles, right? Why this particular topic? What is the impact of this particular topic? What are the negative effects? What are the positive effects? How you can improve? And then within each dimension, now you write your examples or your sub dimensions, right? Be it historically, be it your subject wise or whatever. But essay has to have a proper structure, and you need two very important subjects for essay: society and ethics, because either the topics are philosophical in nature or topics are social in nature. Social topics require data, social topics require your personal experience, ethical or philosophical topics require ethics. You conclude with ethics there. So that is all about essay. Again, for essay also, I think I mostly did the mock tests, and one or two, I think Vision carries some enrichment series, dedicated essay programs. So that I enrolled in, dedicated essay program where I submitted around 5 essays or something. So try to get 120 in essay, right? 120 seems like a huge score maybe. But believe me, if you write structured answers, 120 you will be able to get in essay, 115 or 120. If you write beautifully, you might get 130, 140, right? And again, on answer writing, I would say, where for all the subjects that you see, where do you go in order to see sample answers? You go to topper copies. And topper copies, not of any topper, not AIR 1, AIR 2. You see the topper who has topped in that particular subject, right? So many a times, one of the subjects, let's say ethics, the topper might not be AIR 1 or 2, it might be AIR 30. So you look on those topper copies. What has he written? How has he concluded? Right? What can I improve in that? And you can get a lot of points also. In fact, for me, some of the codes, some of the concepts I got from topper copies in ethics, right? About various other philosophers and all these things. I got from topper copies all these things. So they are a very brilliant source of material also that you can write in your answers. So this, I think, wraps up the entire GS for yes, the 5 papers. Optional, again, anyone who is opting for mathematics, my advice would be to practice questions as much as possible. Doing questions within the required period of time is important there. And yes, try to maximize your score in your optional. Humanities optional, generally, there is a possibility of scoring above 300. Many of the toppers have done it. You can also do it. For technical, it is relatively easy as compared to others to score 300, and that is why you have scaling also many a times. But please focus upon your optional, whatever it may be, because optional is something which, unless and until you are scoring 280 and 300 in your optional, you will not get a good rank. 280, 300 is a very important score in optional, because GS 1, 2 and 3, again I told you, all of them will be scoring average. Essay, ethics, optional, changes your entire course, where your marks will go. So focus upon these 3 topics. Interview, Interview was mostly about your home state, home district. Ironically, I did not get asked any question from my home state or my home district. It is about your DAF. But again, no one knows how the panel will ask. They, I think, mostly check how calm you are, how confident you are, how well you are able to handle pressure, all these things. But yes, interview is again a separate topic. So, like if you want, I can discuss in detail about interview also. Yes. Okay. So, like again, after means you take a break for 1 or 2 weeks because it's important. Otherwise, you will go mad. You have already put in 17, 18 months. Even I didn't study anything for the whole 1 or 2 weeks. But after that, now the time is that because again everything is unpredictable, right? You don't know how much you have scored in mains. Everyone comes out. Everyone thinks that now I have done this much, I have done that much. But reality is you don't know. So you start preparing. What you prepare now? You prepare those subjects which you were not able to fully prepare in your first attempt, or which you feel like you were not able to put your full effort. So in my case, it was society. So I started putting some efforts in society. I started putting some efforts in ethics because I was not able to do so in the first attempt fully. Because again, result not known till now. But as soon as your marks results come, you qualify your means. Now you have to pivot totally towards interview. Interview, you first of all prepare your DAF, and DAF preparation is serious game. You have to write each and every point after a lot of deliberations. Discuss with other toppers. Discuss with your mentors, which are assigned at whichever coaching. I think Vision assigns one. I got one mentor. I'm not sure about other coachings. So focus upon that, and not just this. In fact, try to write only those things in your DAF which you have full confidence in. So not any hobby. So many of the times people write 4 or 5 hobbies, and there are 5 people who are sitting there, right? They have a, if you combine their service experience, 30 into 5, it's 150. It's more than you will ever live. So remember this key, they will catch any lie that you are saying in front of them. They will catch any pretense. So fake it till you make it doesn't work here. So here you have to be honest, whatever hobbies you have seen. No one who is preparing for so long or preparing for 17, 18 months will have even a slightest idea of what his hobby is. Because the hobby only becomes studying. But try to remember those hobbies that you are interested in genuinely. So if you are a fan of IPL, if you are very much passionate about IPL, if you have updates about IPL, even if not watching IPL but just reading the news, the sports page, write about it. Write cricket. But if you have no idea, just because everyone is playing cricket, you also write cricket, then that will be problem. So write your hobbies in a very concise manner and very selective. Only those, like 2 or 3, not more than that, right? And then everything else about your achievements, don't lie about your achievements. Only those achievements which you have actually achieved, because if you try to lie that you did this, you did that, you were an NCC cadet in your school, or if you had done some social service somewhere, they will immediately catch it in some way or the other, because their social service has spanned 30 years. So that's what is important to remember. And the DAF needs to be prepared thoroughly. You should know about basic demographic details of your home state, basic demographic details of your home district, who is the, obviously some important political personalities of your state, prime ministers. For example, I was from UP, and UP has given so many prime ministers, right? So that became important for me. And again, what economy of your state. So is it an agricultural state, industrialized state, or service sector heavy state? That will change depending upon which state you are. So prepare this thoroughly, right? I used to prepare it using Evernote. I used to prepare all the online notes. I used to save links there so that immediately I can read about any particular topic. And when you qualify for after means, you have to consistently keep track of news happening in your own state. National news is okay, but your state news becomes important then. Keep track of that. Try to read some paper which is very popular in your state. So that will give you some news happening in the state. So like if someone is from Telangana and had an interview recently, then he would have to know about this row that happened in the Gachibowli forest area, because it became a national news. So all these things are become important, your surroundings. And prepare for it, give a few mock interviews. I gave 4 mock interviews, not more than that, 4 the bureaucrat ones. Why? Because the more mock interview you give, the more robotic you become, and you will not be able to think independently. You will not be able to give an answer in case their question is out of the box. So for me personally, the first question when I went there, I sat in front of the board. Now, everybody says board was very cordial, made us feel comfortable. Sorry, that was not the case for me. I went there, I sat down. The first question was, how much does an average player run in a badminton game? So what distance? Because badminton was my hobby. Now I read everything for badminton, be it the awards that India has won, be it the important tournaments India has played, important players from India, whatnot. But this was a practical thing. And I had never measured it, because you get tired in badminton, you don't see how much you run. So then immediately I have to come up with an answer. How? By calculating, because I had learned the dimensions of the court. So now I then try to calculate, okay, 7 meter one side, 6 meter this side, then taking diagonal and then some approximations, I give an answer 1 or 2 kilometer. Although again, what an average game is depends a lot. But still, that was an answer which I think satisfied the interviewer. And then a lot of answers were again very practical. See, so one question was that how many devices have been replaced by phone? So your phone has replaced how many electronic devices? So immediately again, because you were nervous also and sitting in front of senior bureaucrats, I thought it was torch has been replaced. Okay, then clock maybe has been replaced. You can think about the gramophone that you used to have back in the 40s or 50s, 1950s, that has been replaced. Radio has been replaced now. After giving all these answers, the chairman simply said to me that you are missing the elephant in the room, which was a very simple answer of camera. The family camera has been replaced. But so these are the things that you learn from interview. And I don't think mock interviews can teach you this. Mock interviews focus heavily upon your DAF. But mock interviews do teach you to be confident, not lose confidence when you are not able to answer a question. You don't become nervous, right? So mock interviews are important there. So try to give, but not much. 4 or 5 for me worked. Somebody might give 20, 30. I mean, it's their choice. I differ from them because 4 or 5 mocks instill the confidence, but keep you natural. So this was the entire UPSC journey.
What do AIR2 Harshita Goyal and AIR3 Dongre Arshad Parag have in common? Apart from securing top ranks in UPSC CSE 2024, they both began their journey with the General Studies Foundation course at VisionIAS. They didn't wait to feel ready. They built readiness step by step with structure, strategy and support. If you are feeling stuck, overwhelmed or unsure where to begin, that's not a flaw. It's a signal that what you need isn't more hours, it's a better direction. And that's exactly what the VisionIAS GS Foundation course is built for. Here's how we guide you from day one. Structured step-by-step learning, prelims, mains, CSAT and essay, all taught in a way that's easy to absorb and hard to forget. No fluff current affairs. PT 365 and Mains 365 filter out the noise, so you focus only on what matters. Mentorship that adapts to you. Real one-on-one support to fix your weak spots, refine your strengths and build your confidence. Test plus feedback loop. Not just marks, but meaningful feedback that helps you grow with each attempt. So don't just prepare harder, prepare smarter with the same foundation that built toppers.
So if any one of you wants to ask any specific questions, yes. Can you speak a little loudly? Okay. Okay. So like this, there was a question this year about demographic winter or something like that, right? So terminology that you are not sure of in the means. Okay, one second. See, one way to do it is to read the Hindi text. For me, I read the Hindi text. Again, Hindi text also said demographic winter, so it became useless. But then what I did was I thought about winter is cold, winter is gloomy, and demographic you attach with winter. And in news we have been seeing Korea's birth rate is going down, Japan's birth rate is going down, Italy is going down. Elon Musk is saying this will vanish, that will vanish. So you get certain idea like demographic winter, demography gloomy. Demography is about population, winter is gloomy. When does population become gloomy? Mostly when babies are not being born. So birth rate is going down. Something of that sort. But even if you are not able to understand using this logic, try to answer that question in the end, whatever you can understand. So, because you cannot write a 150 words beautiful answer if you can't understand. So, you will write just one or two paragraphs. And those one or two paragraphs, you will write something, this or that, whatever you can understand. So, try to answer it in the end, 1 or 2 minutes. Always prioritize like this. Go through a quick reading. Whenever question paper gets distributed to you in mains, go through a quick reading. In the first 2-3 minutes, you immediately see the questions that are bouncers. For example, this year, for many people, the question of twister was a bouncer. What do you understand by twisters? So, if you can understand twisters are tornadoes, then you can answer it. But if you cannot, then you might be again concerned what's the geographical phenomena I'm not able to understand. So, all these things are there. So, try to answer them in the end again. So, focusing upon those questions which you know the best, give quality answers in them, and then whatever questions is left, 2 or 3 questions which you don't understand, try to answer it in the end. Even if you are answering, I think 1 or 2 marks, you can get it easily. So that will help. And yes, reading the newspapers will definitely many a times prepare you for each and every small concept like demographic winters and all. So you can get to know easily. So keep on reading newspapers. Anyone else? Yes. Revision strategies. So yes, regarding revision, you can follow one strategy that many of the people follow is that notes, bulky notes, then again strip them down, some lesser notes, and again strip them down, micro notes. You can do this. For this particular strategy, I followed in ethics, but the notes were not mine. It was one of the toppers. I downloaded it from internet. I think many of the toppers might have uploaded it. You can download them easily. All these micro notes and small notes. But yes, revision is important. Why? Because you tend to forget things. If you don't memorize regularly, you can forget things. So when prelims is over and you have qualified mains now, so now what do you do is reserve 1 or 2 hours every day for revision, dedicated revision, whatever subject you like, whatever subject. Let's say you gave a mock test today, written mock test today, and you felt that let's say society is something which I'm not able to, or let's say history I forgot. What were the reasons for Quit India movement? So you now go to your notes and revise them. So this is how you will be able to, and if you give more and more mock tests, see for mains also, I forgot to mention this point, mock tests again for mains very important. They instill in you writing practice. Writing for 3 hours is an exercise that gives you back pain, brutal back pain. And you have to do this for 9 days. Oh, sorry, 9 days, I'm saying 5 days in total, 9 papers. So it will give you a lot of pain. Unless and until you are very much efficient at writing, it will become difficult to qualify means. So give mock test, and wherever you feel you are lacking, you immediately revise that particular day only. Take out 1 or 2 hours every day. Okay, I will do revision only of this topic, of that topic, whatever I feel like. Okay, and okay, one day you don't feel like giving mock test, or let's say 2 days you don't feel like giving mock test, you can do revisions in those particular days, whatever subjects, be it your optional, be it your GS, whatever. Or you want to read about certain personalities which you can use in ethics or essay, you can do that. Right. Any other questions? Yes. Any other question? Nothing was asked regarding mathematics, although no, yes, they did not ask anything related to mathematics. I did prepare about basic topics like what has been India's ancient contribution in mathematics, or the important prizes like the Abel Prize or the Fields Medal that is awarded in mathematics. How many women have been awarded the Fields Medal? All these things I prepared. I made separate notes of that, but this wasn't asked in the interview from me. So yes, in interview per se, they might ask, might not ask from your optional. Again, depend. Mocks, they asked it. In mocks, I was asked a lot of questions with respect to mathematics, but did not happen in the original interview. Yes, my graduation was in electrical engineering. One of the members asked me about what are the things that India should improve in electrical sector, in fact, which comprises semiconductors or power engineering, many other sectors. So he did ask me that. So my graduation subject is an interview. Graduation subject is important, not entirely in detail, but you should have basic idea, right? So if I'm an electrical engineer and I get asked a simple question, so in your home, how do you determine whether you have a single phase supply or a three phase supply? And not answering that is somewhat of a embarrassment. Even if not to the interview, you yourself will get embarrassed on the spot, because the question is very simple. How do you determine if you in your home that you have a single phase supply or three phase supply? So try to ask certain basic and questions that are more related to practical applications. So practical applications. So which kind of motor is used in a fan? Which kind of motor is used in a, let's say, hair dryer, or let's say a mixer? So that will help a lot. Yes, forgot to cover this. First of all, standard books I started post my notes. So, but yes, I must say that before I came to India, while I was there, I prepared from NCRT. So NCRTs are a must. You shouldn't skip, because, and especially art and culture. Art and culture NCRT is a very beautiful book that has been written, and so many information about temples. One question from there's what dedicated pages where they have the photos of the temples and also some description. Many a times questions come from there. I think it's 11th standard NCRT that has a lot on temples and sculptures. So you many a times you have heard the word Ardhanareshwar. Many of the people might not know what is Ardhanareshwar. So all these concepts, or the Nataraj. Again, a simple example would be the G20 summit happened in 2023. There was a big Nataraj statue that was installed. Now everything about Nataraj becomes important, because that was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister. And NCRT has a very beautiful box that covers everything about how it started in the Pallavas and then got refined in the Cholas, and now we are using it. And in fact, this did not just help me in prelims. In mains also, there was a very question that what is the cultural contribution of the Cholas? I think somewhat like this, 15 marker this year. I wrote Nataraj there also. Why? Because I had studied it in prelims. So you never know when a question on prelims might be helpful for you in mains. And other than NCRTs. Now, for again polity, let's go subject wise. For art and culture, we have other than NCRTs, I did not refer. There was one book, I think, of Nitin Singhania. I tried to read it for Buddhism and Jainism to get more knowledge, because there are certain questions. However you might, how much you read Buddhism and Jainism, the question seems to never end. This sect, that sect, or this practice, that practice. It's overwhelming. So I read it, but then I stopped reading that particular book. NCRTs and class notes. And yes, some answer supplementing from answer sheets. The mocks that I gave, I got answer sheets. I supplemented it in my notes, some of the important topics. Then history spectrum, modern history. Ancient and medieval, two very important books. I read Satish Chandra, I think, for the medieval. And for ancient, there is one book, I'm forgetting. One is Upinder Singh and one more is there. I'm forgetting the name of the author. R.S. Sharma, yes. R.S. Sharma, I read it. Again, both are beautiful books, both describe. Satish Chandra book has a very important feature where many of the words are appearing. So, jizya tax, or who was jizya applied on, zimmis, or all these terms. And many a times you will find they have asked, what does this term refer to, right? So you will find it in Satish Chandra. Many of the terms are mentioned here and there in italics. So underline them or keep a note of them. So that will be beneficial. Geography, geography. Honestly, I did not refer to any book. Geography. Again, the teacher, the notes that he gave me was perfect. Apart from that, NCRTs, 11th and 12th. There is one author. I think Leong or some G.C. Leong. Yes. So G.C. Leong, I read, but the teacher that taught me, Rajesh sir, did a beautiful job. I mean, I did not have to refer anything else. So geography was fortunately covered entirely in class. So for me, that was enough. And society, I did not have enough time. I only stuck to my notes, NCRTs and notes, nothing more than that in society. Uh, and then comes your polity, Lakshmikant, the golden book. Uh, but Lakshmikant is only enough for prelims. For mains, you need more conceptual, in-depth understanding. I would recommend editorials and explained pages. Very beautiful pages are written. And then for social governance vision ebook, there is one vision book. In fact, vision book you can refer in most of the subjects, but only for supplementing your notes. It's not a substitute to your notes, right? If you feel you have less words or less content on any topic, refer to vision book. But not just that I have read vision book, I will not read notes. Notes are important because you make them yourself according to you, personalized to you. That's why they are the one thing that you can very easily understand. Then governance, the vision book was enough for me. Social justice, again, mostly from notes and some research I did. So, for example, what are the vulnerable sections? So, for example, vulnerable sections is a topic that has been mentioned in syllabus. Again, syllabus becomes important here. What are the vulnerable sections in society? Women, then comes SC/ST, then comes transgenders, children, disabled, minorities. You have 6 vulnerable sectors broadly. Now you go and search for important schemes. So for women, it would be Mission Shakti. For children, it would be the Poshan Abhiyan. For SC and ST, you read about the SC/ST Act and various schemes, NCST, NCSC, various bodies are there. So you read that. Transgenders, there is Smile scheme, there is Sweekriti scheme of Odisha. So all these schemes, just know about their basics, what are these schemes are, what are the provisions, and some analysis. Where are these schemes lacking and where are these schemes not performing? I made a separate notes for this, I wrote it on pages. And important bodies, for example, children, there is NCPCR. That's an important body, you have to remember. So this is how I covered all the vulnerable sections for social justice. Poverty and hunger, usually I write from economic perspective. So economics may you deal with developmental economics. There you have poverty and you also hunger to some extent you can get from news, malnourishment and all. Yes, so dedicated poverty and hunger I did not read as such anywhere. So this was social justice. IR I did not have any such book. My notes were comprehensive. Teacher gave us very beautiful notes and papers. Newspapers are the most important source because things are changing continuously. If you read history of 2 countries, it's good, but not mentioning them won't give you a lot of marks. You have to know about the current events that are happening. Then comes economy. Economy may again your newspapers become very important, the most important source. There are certain books, but I did not refer to them much. One book which I would say is NCRT, 11th standard. It has some beautiful chapters on banking, money and banking, and how transactional demand of money is there, how speculative demand of money is very comprehensive. National income accounting, all those concepts are covered beautifully. Regarding agri marketing and all, again sources are very dispersed, so I refer to vision book. All of them is combined in just one book regarding PDS, regarding the buffer system, regarding subsidies, direct or indirect subsidies, all of them you will get a very good idea. After economics, you have this science and technology, newspapers. There is no book, one book you can refer to. If you don't have enough knowledge, if you are a beginner, if you feel threatened by science and technology, please refer to NCRTs. But beyond that, I don't think books will help you. It's just general knowledge that will help you. Internal security, again, for me, notes were enough. If you want something extra, I refer to Vision Notes, the Vision booklet that is given. Some extra points like about BSF, about CRPF, because there is one particular line in the syllabus, the various agencies and their mandate. So CBI, then IB, NIA, CRPF, the Army, Air Force, all these things is given. So I read from there. I believe then ethics. Any other questions? I don't think so. And if there are any other questions, I feel like any question you have on UPSC, I believe there are multiple channels of multiple toppers. There are multiple topper interviews, and in fact, I would recommend each one of you find a topper who is very peculiar to you, means is from your own background, is studied in your subject, has studied from an optional that you are taking, and see his interview, right? Because I also did the same thing. I followed a topper who has been IITian, right? Who went to the same company as I went, and who studied mathematics, who went from mathematics optional. I followed his routine mostly. I did what he did I prepared how he prepared for mathematics, the time devolution that he gave for mathematics, and his philosophy I followed. Like he said, yeah, that the most of the marks that I will be getting will be from optional. So GS subjects, I can't study them thoroughly in a very short period of time. So I covered as much GS as an average aspirant would. But I made sure that my optional was good, because that was my entire strategy was relying on. So again, this strategy will not work for everyone. So find a topper who has a background that is very unique to you. You will find people from all sorts of life have cleared this exam. And Vision so provides you with so much topper talks, you can easily search for one. Try to make your strategy how he is making. So I think this is it. Yes, yes. Again, in GS, in fact, if you see, there is one line that is said that the content is king and presentation is queen, somewhat like that. But science background presentation is like, and in fact, even if you are doing any numerical, you don't do a lot of presentation. You have the question, you use your formula, use your brain, you give the answer, that's it. And science is judged on that only. So don't try to be, see, you can see from topper copies how they have done, right? How they are introducing. So I took certain inspiration from that. So for conclusion, for example, one of my friends who I think got AIF 16 in 23, his name is Ayan. He ended his answers in a beautiful manner, gave certain quotations, or like writing something in quote like Viksit Bharat, or developed India at the rate 2047, or the quotation that Modi ji gave during the COVID, Aapda Mein Afsar. All these are small quips that you can note down somewhere and try to incorporate in your answers. If you end like that, your answer would be unique, right? Not a generic conclusion. Try to just incorporate, try to beautify your introduction and conclusion, and the content, the points, write it in point format. I did for most of the thing I did same. Very few answers were of my answers, very few of them were in arrow format or in drawing format or something like that. Very few of my answers were there. But again, I'm not the expert here, because my GS marks, I think, would be average most probably when the mark sheet gets released. But for a science student, I believe, because I've been from the same background, this can help a lot. Because drawing dedicated diagrams and all can take a lot of your processing space, right? Does not come naturally to you. So why waste it on something which might fetch you just half a mark or 1 mark extra, but you might lose 1 or 2 questions at the end. So try to build your points properly, write quality points, and beautify your introduction and conclusion. I think that should work. Anyone else? What? Perfectionism. Okay. So perfectionism is the enemy in this exam. In fact, one of the reasons that, in fact, I learned after my first attempt that perfectionism will cause you to lose marks. Or why? Because you won't be able to finish your paper. I told you I personally could not finish. In fact, like I left 2 questions in economy and I think 1 question in polity. Why? Because I was confident in economy and polity and I wrote answers which I believe were very quality answers. But who knows what the examiner is reading? There is a possibility AIR one's copy was just above my copy. He checked it. My answers were not quality answers. So try to again keep a mental clock, what I would say. Right? 7 minutes have happened. Now remove that answer, finish that answer. 10 marker. 11 minutes have gone, finish at 15 marker. Don't dwell on it. What other points can I write? You have written 4 points, okay, finish it. Next, move on to next. Right? You have to, if you are not writing very beautiful or very perfect answers, then write average answers but complete your paper. Right? So this is one learning that I would give to you from my experience in UPSC. What? Preparation, again, see, again you will feel that you have not prepared one particular subject fully or this particular subject has left. It's okay. See, you cannot prepare everything in UPSC. Even people who belong to humanities might not be able to cover each and everything, right? In polity or in economy or in, let's say, society. There are so many things to cover. What you have to do is that just maximize your coverage. And in exam, if any question comes which you don't know, then just write 1 or 2 paragraphs. Leave it for the end. Right, because you cannot know everything. There will be 1 or 2 questions each and every year which will be out of your bounds. Right, so don't prepare thinking that what if this particular committee, that particular committee comes. Prepare with broad concepts in mind. Just have the syllabus in front of you. Complete the syllabus. Right, that will be more beneficial, I think, rather than choosing each and every committee and then reading in extensive detail about it. So I think that might help. Okay, so regarding this, so if you are getting low scores in mock C, what is the fear that you are having? So right now, you have, in fact, if you think, you have nothing to lose. Why? Because it's not like if you are not able to qualify this particular exam, then your life will end or people will view you with disrespect or something like that. You have nothing to lose in this exam. Don't treat it like a life event, right? Obviously, if you clear it, there is scope, boundless opportunities for you to grow. But even if you don't clear it, then also there are boundless opportunities. So if you are getting low scores in mocks, try to find the areas or specific subjects. Like for me, it used to be society. So I used to focus more upon it. Write more questions on it. See the PYQs. Where am I lacking? Fear comes primarily from this philosophy only, that I have to be the best in this particular exam, or I have to clear this somehow, otherwise some drastic thing will happen. Just give it like an exam, right? In my opinion, I would say like this only. Fear can work both ways. It can help you in improving, but it can also deteriorate your performance very much. So don't let it go to a level where it deteriorates your performance or makes you feel like that I'm a worthless person without any without any purpose in this world. Many people who have not qualified here. In fact, I would say, I'm not sure if this news is true or not, but once I read that the current executive director of IMF, I think Geeta Gopinath, I think she was also not able to clear this particular exam, but where is she now? Now again, that might have been some fake news or something like that, but many of the personalities who have not cleared the exam have gone on to do certain great things. So try to not let this exam take a fear upon you to the extent that you now feel like that there is no use in that or no. Just have consistency. The exam requires consistency, right? You have to continuously improve upon what you are doing. Getting low scores is not the problem. Doing the same mistake again and again and again is the problem. Try to make sure you are not repeating it. And talk to your parents, talk to your friends. It will help you make you feel lighter. Try to sit with a mentor. He will help you in identifying what gaps you are making, might help you in and don't at any point of time let your ego come in front of you that how can I go to a mentor. It will mean my ego will get hurt here. See, I mean, either you clear this exam or you protect your ego. Simple. You cannot be perfect in everything. So, go to a mentor, go to your friends, and the friends who are doing well, ask them what is it that you are lacking. Show them your answer script, so they might tell you what you are lacking, and focus upon it. Anything else? Yes.
How did you maintain your consistency?
What did I?
How did you maintain your consistency throughout the year?
Because I told you, no, my mind had continuously had only one thought that I have to clear this in 2 attempts, full stop. So that was a deadline for me. So I can't afford to take a rest. So that's what motivated me. And it was my desire to clear this exam, my parents' desire also. So that particular thought also is there. And the third thing that I would say was the opportunity cost, because I came here after resigning from a job and that job paid me very well. So now when I am coming here, I am taking a huge risk, right? And I am going into a job, right, which will not pay me as much as my older job was paying me. So I have an opportunity cost here. So that also kept in my thing, consistently motivated me that you have to clear this in the first 2 attempts. So that is something you have to keep in mind. Keep a deadline for yourself, right? Or whatever motivates you, your dream, or look at the Lavasna picture maybe that you have in your room. That will definitely give you motivation there. So anything, anyone's motivation can be anything. So try to stick to that. Whenever you feel low, talk to your parents or talk to your friends. But friends who are seriously preparing, not anyone. Anyone else? Yes. From the beginning. When I started preparing, Vision has this assignments that come after each and every lecture. So once you have a lecture, assignment is on that lecture. So I started from there. So initially I used to write one assignment every day. So used to time myself. Initially it used to take 15 minutes or 20 minutes to finish an answer that should have been done in 7 minutes. Slowly and slowly it came down, the time came down to let's say 8 minutes or 9 minutes maximum. Then I grouped a bunch of assignments, let's say 5 assignments together, and I used to time myself 30 minutes. Now I will keep on writing. So those assignments helped me build my answer writing. You have to do it every day, consistently, because your hand should be trained. I am telling you, you once try to attempt a 3-hour mock paper, it is actually painful. After 3 hours, your hand is paining, your back is paining. So unless and until you get used to it, it will be difficult to write answers in mains. How many answers did I practice? So did not have a specific target that I have to practice X answers each day or Y answers. You can do that. But for me, initially, I was that I have to complete my daily assignments. And always my goal has been to be updated. So let's say 5 days I am not doing, then the 6th day I will take all 5 and complete the assignment. But don't keep it pending for 1 month or 1 year. Then the assignments will look like mountains. So just write and write according to how you feel. Whether you feel confident in answer writing, then you can reduce your frequency. Let's every 2 days, every 3 days. Again, it also depends upon your optional, because you might be doing classes for your optional, you might not get the time. So Saturdays and Sundays, try to keep a dedicated time. Okay, Saturdays and Sundays, 1 hour I will write answers. Whatever I think, whatever I know, I will write answers. But that only one particular subject, let's say I've studied modern history, I will write modern history. 1 hour. So this will help you in building, right? So you can do it Saturdays and Sundays also. Yes, so that can be then, you'll have to take out time then. I mean, some way or the other way, you'll have to take out time. When someday you might not have optional class, do it on that particular day. Someday you might not have vision class, do it on that particular day. So you'll have to take out time for that. That's what I'm saying, right? Consistently, you have to work. So So don't think about how many hours you are studying. You think about how much less time you are wasting. So that's a completely different way of thinking. You are studying all the time, but just not thinking about, okay, now I have studied 12 hours, now it's okay, done for day. Not like that. Try to reduce your wastage, the time that you are doing. See, consistently you have to do this. Then only you will be able to succeed in a short period of time. Yes.
So firstly, congratulations for clearing the exam in one go, but there is only 1 month for the prelims, right?
Yes.
So any final tips for the aspirants who give the exam this year?
So prelims, first of all, now is the time that you give mock tests as much as possible. So I would say every 2 days you keep on giving one mock test, right? Give mock test and try to do revision from those. If you are not able to revise from your original notes, take those micro notes or take those lesser amount of bulky notes that you have made and then try to revise from that. And glance through the important points like PT 365 can help you here and all these things. So try to do those. So 1 month you have to consistently now prepare for prelims. So Lakshmikant, I mostly focused on those topics that mattered a lot. In fact, see, I'll tell you one thing that reading the Constitution, the original document of Constitution, will be beneficial than reading Lakshmikant for that particular topic. Because UPSC these days is asking that according to Constitution of India, what is true or what is not true. So if you have read the Constitution, now you know the exact text of the Constitution, so you can answer that question. Right. Lakshmikant, I think, will help you a lot in those bodies which are not covered under constitution. So the bodies that are made under statutes or like bodies which are executive in nature, CBI and all those. So try to underline important points. So if you are reading about CBI, so one important point is CBI is not under Ministry of Home Affairs. It's under Ministry of Personnel. So you highlight that particular point. This is important. So this will help you a lot. Highlighting important points, but this does not mean you highlight the entire chapter, right? Functions and all generic in nature. So what are functions does CBI perform, or what function? Like there are three bodies: NCST, NCSC, and NCBC. All of them are performing very similar functions just for different communities. So you can group them like that, right? Just remember basic of all these bodies. So something like that will help you in covering Lakshmikant in a faster manner. And yes, do read the Constitution because now questions are becoming more and more precise with respect to Constitution. So Lakshmikant, I would say, is secondary. First, try to read the Constitution. Not right now. Prelims is on the head right now. So supplement it with Lakshmikant. But yeah, for those who will be giving next year, I would say read the Constitution thoroughly. I want think someone was from that side. So the problems that I faced was very much geared towards GS only. Maths was much easier for me to prepare than GS because my entire interest has been towards mathematics. So I was easily able to prepare for mathematics. But GS, I faced problems. So that is why I revised multiple times. I used to revise my notes multiple times. So that helped me in preparing for GS in a much faster manner. And problems that every aspirant faces, then self-doubt, frustration, whether it's enough or not. So have faith in yourself that if you are doing honest, serious preparation, then you will clear this exam. Just have faith and do preparation honestly, not to show off to anyone, not to show off to our parents that look, I am doing preparation. Show to yourself that yes, I am doing preparation with all my effort. Ask every time, have I put all my effort? If the answer is yes, then be satisfied. Right? And that is what in fact made me clear in the first time. I would say most of the role was of optional to play mathematics. I prepared that in such a way that I have to score more than 300 in optional. Not sure what the score is. I think I'll get to know in 1 or 2 days, but I prepared like that my optional. Yeah, I have to score 300 plus, otherwise it's difficult to clear this exam. So I had a strong hold on my optional, and GS I was like, okay, I will do average. Just like other aspirants, I will not try to excel in any particular field. I think yes, I think now nobody has any more questions. So I would say all the best for the prelims, and just be focused, be prepared, and even if you are not able to clear prelims, don't lose hope, and give your all. Be consistent just with your preparation. Okay. All the best to all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.